That a record number of pupils risk being locked out of secondary schools during admission owing to an increase of school fees occasioned by introduction of dubious charges informed the directive first issued by the Ministry of Education during the launch of Form 1 selection. Heads of schools and schools board of management were warned against charging parents extra levies that, quote, do not have any direct bearing to the quality of education offered.
The creation of national schools was not meant to be that expensive as to hurt poor parents. Really not.
That directive appears to have been ignored.
Chavakali High School, which is now a national school within the same region, is charging about 95,000.
The Ministry of Education was put to task by the House Committee on Education, Science and Technology for reportedly failing to regulate levies charged by secondary schools.
The parents are already looking for alternative schools because they cannot afford. And my question is, what do we do to the poor students who have passed well, who deserve to go to these schools, and they cannot afford the school fees?
Those who will float the guidelines and will have been found to have floated the guidelines, as a ministry, one, we shall withdraw the agency. That means they cannot be able to serve as teachers. Thereafter, we shall ask the employer, who is Teacher Service Commission, to institute disciplinary measures for having gone outside government policy.
In its guidelines for the implementation of free secondary education, the Ministry of Education in 2009 pegged fees for day schools at 10,265 shillings and 28,892 shillings for boarding schools. Questions were also raised about the pending huge tender for the supply of 1.2 million laptops.
You're looking to have a different manufacturing arrangement, meaning next year, the children in class 1 will have different laptops from the ones in class 2.
There were a lot of middlemen, I can call them that, between the manufacturer and the end user, who was ourselves as a ministry. And these particular people who are in the middle was also putting in their own markup.
The House Committee also summoned all the public university vice-chancellors to a meeting aimed at averting the impending lecturers' strike. Union leaders have accused vice-chancellors of irregularly allocating themselves hefty amounts from funds meant to implement a collective bargaining agreement between the union and the government.
A conservatory order is issued.
This even as the High Court in Nyeri halted the admission of students to secondary schools in the county over an alleged flawed selection exercise. Justice James Wakiaga suspended the admission of 1,831 Form 1s to 10 extra county schools in Nyeri, pending the hearing of a suit challenging the selection process.
For those students in Nyeri who have over 370 marks and yet have nowhere to go. These are the people who rightly belong to the institutions where they are supposed to go now. Justice Wakianga issued an order restraining the schools from admitting any students until February the 7th, when the case will be heard. Mbilu, Citizen Live at 9.